Hey gang, in our previous video we introduced the proper journal entries needed to practice the allowance method for accounts receivables. Now we're going to go through an in-depth example of how to calculate the estimates based on the percentage of sales method. Remember gang, both the percentage of receivables and the percentage of sales methods are options available for us to calculate our bad debt expense as well as our allowance for uncollectible accounts. So let's get to it. But first, bags. So one thing you must be aware of, gang, is that the allowance method is preferred by GAAP in terms of estimating uncollectibles relative to the direct write-off method. So regarding the percentage of sales method in terms of estimating bad debt, it's a really easy method because whatever numbers that's calculated goes directly into the journal entry. And so the company takes a percentage based on previous experience of not collecting on certain accounts and multiply that times the net credit sale. And so whatever number is calculated will be your bad debt expense as well as your allowance for uncollectible accounts. So without any further ado, let's take a look at an example. Okay, gang, we're going to take a quick look at an illustration of how to properly apply the estimates under the allowance method by using the percentage of sales. Remember, gang, the percentage of sales is the easiest of the two methods in my opinion because whatever amount that becomes calculated goes directly into the journal entry. So let's take a look. During year one of operations, It's a Joke earned credit sales of $250,000. The company estimates bad debt based on 5% of sales. Year-end accounts receivable totals $40,000. So before we get into the directions of this problem, I want to identify some key words in here. So credit sales obviously mean that the company was selling on an account. Estimates bad debt based on 5% of sales. So the fact that they said that it was 5% of sales, gang, lets us know that we are practicing the allowance method. Keyword, estimate. And so we also know which method are we practicing. Percentage of sales. It tells us right here, 5% of sales. And so in this particular problem, they would like us to journalize the bad debt expense using the percentage of sales method. And then 2, show how to report accounts receivable on the balance sheet at year end. So we already know, gang, when it's time to record an estimate of the allowance method, we're going to debit bad debt expense and credit allowance for uncollectible accounts. So we basically have to find a number. And this is the percentage of sales, which is easy breezy. So we're going to take the credit sales, which was given to us of $250,000. And we're going to multiply that times the estimated percent of uncollectible, which is 5%. And that should give us $12,500. And so as I mentioned earlier, we're going to just throw that number into our journal entry, $12,500. And then the next instruction was to show how the balance sheet will report accounts receivable. We know, gang, whenever we're practicing the allowance method, we are going to report accounts receivable at its net realizable value. Simply meaning we're going to deduct the contra account allowance for uncollectible from our accounts receivable balance. Remember, the allowance for uncollectible account is based on the estimate of the amount that we should not collect. Therefore, on the balance sheet, in our assets section, we will have accounts receivable of $40,000 that was given to us in the problem. And directly under that, gang, we're going to subtract our allowance for uncollectible account that has been created of $12,500, thus giving us a net realizable value of $27,500. So there you have it, gang. A short and sweet illustration of how to properly calculate your estimates based on percentage of sales. In the next video, we're going to cover an example of how to calculate the estimate based on the percentage of receivables. But hopefully the light bulb clicked during this video, and if it did, please like, subscribe, and share the channel with your friends for more ways to chase the bag. As always, gang, I'm humbly appreciative of the time that you spend with me, and I hope to see you soon. Bags!